Hola y bienvenidos a Deuces Wild Motherfuckers!
You went with the MFers today. I like that instead of the bitches. You had been stuck on the bitches role for a while.
Well, the reason why, Thrill, is because we actually have some royalty in the house tonight, and I figured what better introduction for the president of USA Baseball than motherfuckers.
Yeah, the top dog, the top MFR, Mr. John Gall. Welcome.
Well, I figure, right, President, I should be able to pardon some guys, bring Pete Rose into the Hall of Fame, and, but I guess not. I don't think my power goes that far.
Hey, I'm liking that. We'll be getting to Mr. Rose here in a minute, but man, that's awesome. USA Baseball. I mean, I was able to play for Olympic team and then some of the USA teams. I know you being in charge of everything. It's pretty special to your heart. So congratulations.
Yeah, I just had an email the other day about your team and trying to get you guys back out together for a reunion. So you're the first one to hear about that, but I think it's going to happen. All these good Olympic teams.
Yeah, put it a little closer to your mouth. I mean, I see how mine's coming to the red.
You're the IT guy here. It's not me.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go. Is that better?
Yeah, you'll always be able to see it right there as our volume. This is where we fucked up the audiobook. We did a whole audiobook reading the Let Them Play book, and at one point, actually, I had raised in his mic, and then my mic was too low. So all good.
Hey, I gotta jump in on this, man. Being the proud dad, I want to get this out there. I want to say it first. Trey Clark, this past Sunday, went deep for the first time ever in his life. 3-run bomb, put the team on top, wound up winning the game. It was the go-ahead RBIs, and he did it out of dead center field with a wood bat. First time he's ever swung a wood bat.
Was that a Nolan Ryan special, right?
Oh, God, man. I was so fired up. Because I was videotaping John, right? And, you guys know when you hit one with a wood bat, it makes a different sound. And when he hit it, I was like, ooh. And I had to, look, right? And when I did, he ran out of frame. So I had to get him back in frame all the way around the bases. Dude, you could not wipe the smile off of his face for the last 2 or 3 days. It had been so much fun being around Trey Clark right now. It's absolutely amazing.
So here we are 38 years after you hit your first big league home run against Nolan Ryan to straightaway center field in the Astrodome. Trey Clark in backwoods, Louisiana goes fucking deep, man. How cool is that?
Oh man, it was so fired up. He was so fired up. I mean, like I said, you couldn't wipe the smile off his face. His teammates came out the dugout. They were high-fiving him at home plate. The little league that he plays in posted it on their website. So it's been great. And then, we got some friends, Josh and Tommy and all that, man. They've been taking care of him and thanking him and congratulating him. And Tommy put it on Twitter, and so it's been cool as shit.
That's awesome, man. I mean, it's really something that I think you could cherish, and I don't think there's any question whether Tommy has done this yet or not, because I think Gall and I will. We're going to split screen Trey's first homer and your first homer side by side. How cool will that be?
Hey, that'd be cool as hell, because you'd have a right-hander and a left-hander both going out of dead center. That's pretty cool right there.
Dude, he's got a good swing.
Yeah, no. Hey, look, that's the one thing, Johnny, from playing ball as much as you did. I mean, you see those guys that got good hand-eye coordination. They barrel up a ball pretty consistent. It's awesome. But, what I thought was funny was he couldn't get one out with an aluminum bat, and then all of a sudden the little league goes to wood bats. In actually it was the second game. First game, he got a base knock first swing. I'm like, oh, Jesus, he's on a roll here. And then second game, he goes pie-eyes center field. So it was awesome. It really was.
There's nothing better like that. I mean, as a parent too. I mean, so I had my first one with my boy last year at All-Stars. Eric was there.
Yeah.
I was third base coaching. I've never jumped higher in my life. I was at least 4 or 5 inches off the ground. It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
I mean, it was.
He's running around the bases, and I'm videotaping him, right? And then I forgot that I had it zoomed out completely, so he's getting closer to me. He's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I'm like, "Oh, geez!" I said, "Here's a high five for you, dude! Congratulations!"
Dude, so where were you watching from, Thrill?
I was in the third base coaching box. I was coaching third base.
Oh, shit, man!
Yeah, and videotaping at the same time, so it was fun. It was fun. So.
Super cool. Well, congratulations to Trey, and we're going to definitely get on that side-by-side split. On that note, I know you can lay action on big league baseball games in the NC2A tournament. I'm not sure if you could lay action on Trey Clark's games, but our title sponsor, Bet Online, continues to be your number one source for all of your basketball and baseball wagering needs, including pro and college hoops throughout the year. With up-to-the-minute odds, stats, and trends, you can follow your favorite team's path to the playoffs with in-game live betting contests and all the best player props. Experience the world's best wagering platform anytime from your desktop or your mobile device. Head to Bet Online today to become part of the team, and remember to use the promo code BELIEVE, capital B-L-E-A-V, for your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet Online.
That being said,
the game starts here.
The game starts here, and we had Linda come on earlier in the chat room. We were just BSing a little bit before we came online, and she dropped the Ohtani the money, otherwise known as Show Me the Money, baby. So we got to go there. We got to go there. There is no way we can't go there because I've dropped the F-bomb on the Dodgers so many damn times, and here we go, baby. You're way more versed on this than I am, so take the lead and run with it, baby.
All right.
Cliff notes. Let's go, Eric.
Look, I've been creating videos and talking about this shit for a week now, so I want to open up the platform to get both of your guys' take on it. But let me give you some hard nuggets that we know to be at least truth to this point. Ippei is Shohei Ohtani's interpreter. He came out with a story about how he had gambled on all sorts of different sports. Specifically, it looks like there's a lot of European soccer in there. It amassed a gambling debt of $4.5 million, in which it was paid to a Southern California bookie. The wire transfers had Shohei Ohtani's name on them, which obviously raised some red flags. Ippei came out and said that Shohei had decided that he was going to pay off his debt. When all of this came out, Shohei denied that he knew anything about Ippei's gambling debts and that he did not agree to pay those debts. He actually claimed that there was a massive theft. He stuck to that story yesterday during his press conference, indicating that Ippei lied to him and stole what appears to be several $1 million from him. I bring up two questions, Thrill, and I'll start with you. Number one, how does Ippei have this access to which he could get into Ohtani's bank account and transfer 4.5 large to a Southern California bookie? Number one. And number two, if you're Ohtani, this whole thing seems really, really fishy to everybody. Your thoughts?
My thoughts. If it looks and smells fishy, it's a fish. Otherwise known as there's some bullshit going on. In other words, that's what the hell is happening. There was story number one came out. All of a sudden, another day later, story number two comes out. Now we got all of this craziness going on. Dude, there's something below the belt that's going on right here. MLB has launched an investigation. So has I would imagine the FBI, because it has to deal with gambling. So, I mean, hey, there's this is going to linger over until they can unturn all the pages and get all up underneath things. But, I'm definitely one of those realists in that, all right, look, if there was something that went on, Ohtani, should have been able to take control of the situation from the get-go and say, this is what happened. And that's not what happened. And on top of that, you brought up a great point. How does a guy like Ipe have access to Ohtani's cash? All right. I've been in Major League Baseball and I've done, some investing in my career. Nobody has access except me. I control everything, and none of my money people or anything can move any cash without my express consent. And then you got to sign documents. You got to sign DocuSigns and shit like that. So there's a lot of fishy crap going on. And Johnny, you sitting there shaking your head, too.
Dude, this is the thing I said to Eric when we talked about it. I'm like, hold on a second. $500,000 a transaction? Like, you need signatures, and this is like just the Homeland Security's all over stuff like that.
Yep.
Like, I mean, you can't just steal that kind of money. Like,
No.
he's saying theft. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me at all, and multiple times. So here's the other thing. Maybe one time, right? But it was multiple $500,000 transactions, I believe, is what I thought I read. So it's like, come on, dude, this doesn't make any sense. And then he's saying that, and there was some quote he had, I think I read, that showed or made it sound like he did maybe know that he was a gambler, and then he backtracked it. Absolutely, that he's a gambler at this. I mean, dude, this is a guy you're spending every single minute of the day with, almost, right?
Yeah.
So I don't get it. I really don't. Like, I don't see. I think there's way more down the road, and the authorities didn't want to jump on him and do something prematurely. They're patient. The FBI is patient. We've all watched a lot of movies. Maybe know a few people. They're patient, and this thing is not ending.
And Bernsey, I'm sorry to interrupt, bud.
Go ahead.
But I mean, this shit hit the ground running, and all of my idiot friends, and I know all of your idiot friends, started sending me the memes with Pete Rose said that he's re-anteing into the Hall of Fame because his interpreter stole the money, and then there's a Pete Rose picture with Ohtani's face on it. I mean, there's all kinds of crap going on right now with all the memes.
It's so good, man. Yeah. So I think even now it's funny because I've posted about 3 or 4 different videos, and a couple of them, I don't want to say serious, but just kind of digging into the situation, trying to figure out what's going on. There was an incident that was reported that Ipe had lied about going to UC Riverside and graduating from there in 2007. And my response to that was, who the fuck is going to lie about going to UC Riverside? Right? Like, it's one of those things where if you're going to lie, at least say you went to Stanford or UCLA or some Ivy League.
Yeah.
I mean, who's saying UC Riverside? I feel like Ipe, and I could be totally wrong. Maybe he's a fucking crook and he should be locked away for life and he's a bad person. I just don't see it. I feel like this is probably going to be heartbreaking for Ohtani because I think he has 2 camps. He has, obviously the relationship that he had with Ipe, but he also has a whole team of lawyers and who else that are saying, look, this is what you're going to fucking say, and this is what you're going to do, and here's your statement, and go out there and do it. And that was a statement that we heard yesterday. The problem with that is exactly what you said about that transfer of money, where I literally, even my wife, who I've delegated everything financially to, and she can make all these decisions and sign off of this, sign off of that. Whenever there's actual hard cash over a certain number that's moved in any direction for any fucking reason, it always goes through me, to the point where you got to go in and, what do you call it? Where you have the...
You got a double signer.
But you got to go into the post office. Oh. Right?
A notary.
Yeah, you got to get a fucking notary. You're moving that kind of cash. That's going to take a notary. So I think this is bullshit.
Well, hold on. So I'll play the other side for a second because we really don't know it. And honestly, this could go a whole different direction because the FBI is in this thing now. This might not even have to do with Ohtani.
The Department of Justice, by the way,
Department of Justice.
The DOJ.
We're just all speculating here and whatever. But
he's guilty. He's a Dodger. He's guilty.
Yeah, he's guilty. He's a Dodger. So, but let's say that he did take it, right? And I mean, talk about like how does the system even let this happen? Like, and you think of like the Players Association, we all have those meetings early on, and I don't know if he went or does any of that stuff where he showed up and they talk about, red flags and things about finances and all that because he came from Japan already and had everything all set up. And I don't know if he had power of attorney he would just sign that away. I remember signing power of attorney to a good friend of mine when I was young, and that was a mistake, So I don't know. Who knows what's going on here, but
the only person who should have power of attorney for anybody should be somebody that is trusted unequivocally. So, for you, Burnsy, it's Tara. For me, it'd be Lisa. And Golly, I don't know, but that it doesn't go any further than that. I mean, you don't turn it over to, and this is where this is where I learned a lesson from. People back in the 70s and 80s, your Steve Carltons and people like that got railroaded by financial people, gave them the power of attorney to move money around and all that while they were playing ball, and they had no idea where the money was going. And so all of a sudden these guys look up and all their shit's gone. I never did that. When my dad was alive, he took care of it. I mean, on a day-to-day deal, but we would have weekly financial calls where he would run me through everything. So I knew where everything was. And this is the system of checks and balances that, Barnesy, you're going to have with Tara, Johnny, you're going to have with whoever you got. Yeah, and that is how you make sure your shit don't disappear. And for him to go through the shit that you're talking about and the same thing that Johnny's just saying, it's like, that don't happen no more. Put it this way. I went to the bank the other day. All right. I got to pay a bill at the ranch, and it's fairly substantial. So I tried to put, let's just say 20 grand in the bank. They held up the deposit for 2 days while they checked the bank that the cash came from. And so if you talk about 20 grand, what do you think, like John's talking about, what do you think is going to happen with 500 grand? Oh, they're going to put a freaking red flag on that till they get the signatures like you talked about, the DocuSigns, the notarized paperwork, everything. That's bullshit. And that's why I'm saying all of this crap's fishy.
You mentioned checks and balances. I had an agent, and then I had a business manager, and then I had a financial manager. So basically the business manager would watch over the financial manager, who would then watch over the agent. And they all, work together, but it was like this 3-tier system, like the 3 branches in government. And the whole point was just checks and balances. So to think that here's Ohtani, who has way more fucking money than I had, didn't have any sort of system like this in place is bullshit. I just don't buy it.
I'm with you.
Hey.
Uh-oh. Guys ran out of juice there. There we go. Y'all back in?
There, Thrill? Yeah, we're here. You there?
Yeah.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, hitching the giddy up. So, you good, Burnsy?
Yeah. No, we got it. I actually have a I don't know if it's my Wi-Fi or yours, but
well, I'm hardline. Your Wi-Fi is hardlined in.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my hard line rolling right now.
While we're sitting there talking, your system of checks and balances, you did it exactly perfect. Like you said, you had 3 guys playing off of one another. If anybody came to me and said, hey, let's just throw something out. Let's just say, hey, you got to buy, 100 shares of Coke stock. Well, I wouldn't trust that one guy. I'd go to 2 other of my money dudes and say, what do you think about Coke stock? What do you think about Coke stock? And if all 3 of them agreed, then I'd be like, all right, we'll proceed forward with the Coke stock. All right. that is the system of checks and balances that you were talking about. Is exactly the same thing John's talking about, and that's the thing that, I mean, a guy that's making the kind of money Shohei's making, he ought to have that in line, no problems at all.
Yeah. All right. Hey, Thrill, I'm going to move on for a second because I was talking to Gull last night over some tequila, and he mentioned the fact that the Giants, at least on the international scene, truly believe, and people within the international baseball community, in which this is the president of USA Baseball, that the Gigantes got an absolute gem with their brand new Korean outfielder. So I wanted to tee it up and let you and Gall go about our guy.
Yeah, I asked about him right away, right? As growing up a Giants fan, I asked some people in the international community, and it was like, this guy is a one of one. He's gifted. He's in that level. And like, you know, there hasn't been a kid like this come from Korea before, but I mean, they loved him. I mean, this guy against top tier pitching, guys throwing 95 plus, has like a 350 batting average or something. And they remember, now we track all that data, right? Used to be sort of hearsay. Oh, he could just catch up to a fastball. No, now they know. Like, so he's not going to have any difficulty hitting that major league pitching here.
Yeah, no.
And I mean, supposedly he's a gamer. He's really well liked. And I think he's really well respected in the international baseball community amongst his peers. And that means a lot to me when I hear that they think he's a stud, one of the best hitters in the world. That's the way he's described. And so when I read, and you know, Giants didn't get great press either. It wasn't like it was like, oh, you know,
they got skepticism, man.
Skepticism because nobody's seen him and all that. So I'm really excited to watch him because, hey, nothing counts till the regular season. I get it, but the Giants are exciting, and he's my number one guy. I can't wait to watch.
Yeah, no. So you know, Bernsey and I talked about it the other day because I had just come from spring training and I had a chance to put my eyes on him, you know, 6 days in a row. And, you know, bat to ball skills in the upper echelon by far. I mean, hand-eye coordination, put the bat on the ball and barrel it up, upper echelon right now. The one thing that I told Bernsey, and I don't know if you got this one, John, is he actually has some pop. And I was like, whoa. I wasn't expecting to see that. I mean, I was expecting to see, you know, a bunch of line drives, slap ground balls, that kind of thing. No, this guy was driving some balls, and I was like, he had hit a homer the day before I got there, and then in the game, he just missed two while I was there. But then he barreled up. I couldn't even tell you how many balls he barreled up. And on top of that, and this is another thing that I told Bernsey, he was running real good. Evidently, he had a problem last year where he had an ankle injury and he couldn't get like fully turned on his back ankle and all that. And that was robbing him of power, but he's completely healed up now. And I mean, I was impressed with what I saw, and it was above the expectation of what I thought I was going to see when I saw him first time.
That's cool to hear. I mean, I haven't heard it. I saw him in the WBC, you know, a little bit, but I haven't really watched him. I'm excited, man. I just think I played in the Korean League too. And I got to tell you, there was a lot of talent out there that could have played out here in the States that never got a chance to play. So I know that entire country is going to be behind him, like, because, you know, he's the type of player that should translate. So
yeah.
Paul, you said something last night that was really interesting when you said there's a difference between a Japanese player and a Korean player. What do you mean by that?
Oh, well,
you talked about the hype train.
Yeah. You're right. Okay. I did talk about that. Now, I mean, in my opinion, that the Japanese culture is definitely more sort of the UK with the paparazzi and all that. I played with So Taguchi, who played for years. And I mean, he was, even when he was in the minor leagues with me in Memphis, or he was in St. Louis with me, it was like, I mean, he had a train of friggin' media following him around, and it's a lot of pressure, a lot of hype. And I feel like when Korean ball players don't have that same, it doesn't come with them in the same way. So even, you come and you're a little bit under the radar, and it's a little bit easier, I think, even though not as many guys have had the chance to translate here. I think it's a little bit easier for them mentally to come over here and play. And that's just my 2 cents on it. I don't know if that's really true, but I saw that Japanese thing. It's hard.
Well, and
to come over.
You mentioned it perfect, John. I mean, you know, when the foreign players come over, especially the Japanese, it's a media horde that comes with them, and then now you got a guy from Korea. Don't think he's not going to have a lot of, let's say extracurricular activities aside from baseball. And I went to our media department while I was in spring training, and I said, look, this circus that's going on right here, I said, it needs to stop when the regular season happens. I said, if he needs to get all of the crap out the way, with Korean TV and this Korean writer and this Korean whatever, get it out the way in spring training, because when the season starts, he ain't got time for all of these distractions, all right? He needs to concentrate on Major League Baseball. And our media department did a great job with it from what I saw in spring training.
So I found it easier to play in the Dominican Republic where I didn't have to deal with endless interviews. And my one job was to go out there and play fucking baseball. And that was it. So I do think there's an element of these guys coming over where it's like, yeah, it's difficult. But if you embrace the culture and you understand that, hey, look, this is what I'm here to do, and you put all of your eggs in this basket and you go all in every aspect, not just baseball, but again, embrace all the things, smile, give the short little interviews. I used to do these interviews in Spanish, and I keep them short and sweet, and I kind of stick to a lot of the phrases that I was very comfortable with. And ultimately, I would laugh and have fun with it. But those, and I've noticed this everywhere you go, and Gall could, attest to this because he played in Mexico and had success there. Those who embrace the culture are the ones who have the success. Am I right with that?
Yeah, and I think that's part of it. Also, it's being in the right city, right place. I mean, Ichiro is obviously the greatest Asian player, Japanese player, one of the greatest players in the history of the game. He ended up in Seattle. Great spot for him, right? There's it's America, but there's a good Japanese culture. It's close to home. That's why I think the Giants should probably I wouldn't be surprised if this goes well if we don't keep scouting over there and getting more guys.
Gotcha. I tell you what, I know the Giants are putting a lot of eggs in the international basket. They've they got Luciano and people like that out of the what is it, the Dominican draft or whatever, international draft, whatever they have. So they've put a lot of eggs in that basket. So the one thing that I wanted to say, because you and I have not had a chance to really get after it, Burnsy, is Blake Snell.
Yeah.
I hate to change in midstream here, but dude, going from a lot of question marks with this ball club to all of a sudden signing this dude and having those question marks go away, and everybody is just, oh my God, the Giants now. It's like it changed everything having Snell signed. And I was just looking through some stuff, right? Nothing major. I just was looking through, and there's some things that jump out at you when you see somebody who is a stud. And this is the one thing that I'm going to show you right here. From July to September, he had a 1.3 ERA. And over his last 6 starts of the season, which is when pitchers are dragging, it's the end of the season. You got to be mentally tough to get through it. The last 6 starts of the season in 2023, he gave up 2 earned runs. Dude, wow, that is a stud.
Thrill. Look, man, if you have Logan Webb throwing the ball the way he's capable of, he's a top 5 pitcher in the National League. If you have Blake Snell come in and just be close to what he was last season, this is the Cy Young Award winner. When you back that up with potentially Robbie Ray, who was just a Cy Young Award winner a couple of years ago, This is a nasty staff. So, you look, the Giants, I truly believe their win total is sitting at 83.5. I'll start with Gall right here. They're at 83.5. their odds of making the playoffs sit anywhere between like a plus 120 and a plus 150. Number one,
is that good? I don't know. Is that good?
It's basically saying they're about 50-50, a little less than 50-50 to make the playoffs. Still, I see this team going to the playoffs. They will be playing on October. Like, this is a slam dunk fucking bet for me. I don't have any questions. But things have to go right. Guys have to stay healthy, and they got to perform.
I think staying healthy is the main thing. For me, I look at this roster now. It's kind of mind-blowing. If you rewind me 6 weeks ago or let's really 3 months ago, it was just, oh, gosh, here we are again. Now it's the most exciting roster I think they've had in a decade. I mean, seriously, this is going to be fun. And it, of course, just with what the Dodgers are, it makes it even more fun for me. I like it when they're good because then you beat them. It's more fun. So, I mean, this is going to be a great year. And I think the West, and now without having that, the unbalanced schedule we used to have. Now they got rid of that. That's helpful. I'll be honest. I think it's helpful for the Giants too. And we don't have to face Snell 3 or 4 times either. That's the other thing. Sign a guy like that.
That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah. And then this is another thing too, John, that Bernsey and I talked about. When you come to San Francisco, you want to be a pitcher. Pitchers are attracted to San Francisco because of pitching in that weather with the ballpark, et cetera, et cetera. And, here's a guy that's going to run out there and pitch in that ballpark a lot. It's going to benefit him.
Thrill, give us an update on some of the camp battles that have been going on. What is happening with shortstop?
So, all right. So, they still, see first part of training, he came back and he was playing a little bit, not great. Or two, he's hitting like 2. And I talked about this before. He hasn't played full season in minor leagues, and he damn for sure ain't played full season in the major leagues. Ahmed, they signed him free agent. He's done everything they wanted him to do. I'm expecting Ahmed to be the starting shortstop. That's just me from the outside looking in, and what's going to happen.
The position battles. What else have you seen down the stretch here that you think potentially could have an impact at the beginning part of the season?
All right, let me get to my roster and transactions. All right, so David VR got sent down. He is another third baseman, so he's out the mix. JD Davis, they released him. He's out the mix. So you got Chapman and Wilmer Flores at third base. We just talked about Ahmed and Luciano at shortstop. You got Tyra Estrada. He'll be at second. And then first base is going to be Lamont Wade and Flores switching time back and forth. They actually, believe it or not, they sent Blake Sabol down to Sacramento.
Wow.
So that means as of right now, you got kind of a 3-way battle for catcher. You got Patrick Bailey, who's going to be a starter, and then you got Tom Murphy, and then you still got Joey Bart hanging in the mix. So, they're going to have to make a decision right there, too, as well.
I like that move with Sabol, and I'm going to tell you why. Because unless he's getting every day at bats, I'd rather have him in AAA getting those. So I'm not going to keep him around to be the backup catcher. If he was the dude, let's bring him up, let's play him, and then if there's a pressing need for him at some point throughout the course of the season, I think I would go to him. But right now at this point, if Patrick Bailey's going to get the majority of the reps, I'd rather have Sabol continue to develop. I love his fucking bat, man.
Yeah. I mean, he's a big kid too. He's 6'4", 240 put together real well. So he's got it in the tank. It's just we need to polish him up a little bit. One of the guys that we saw at the end of last year, and he got called up, and a little scrappy son of a gun. I love him to death, but he's going to start in AAA as Wade Meckler, a little left-handed redhead guy out of Oregon State. They sent him to Sacramento. He'll polish things up. He'll tear Sacramento up just because I know what kind of dude he is. So The Giants will definitely see him in the major leagues at some point this year. And then you got some other guys. Heliot Ramos, they gave him a big shot this year to come in there and win a job. And, I mean, I hate to say he just didn't get it done. So he's down in Sacramento again. Some of the other guys that are in Sacramento are pretty much dudes that you cut.
Meckler, how was his spring training? I really liked his at bats last.
Yeah, I mean, he had a good spring training. I mean, he was swinging the bat well, but I think that the big question mark was Matos, and Matos had a hell of a spring training. I think he's leading the team in homers and RBIs. So it's looking to me like Matos is going to make the team.
How good is Matos, Thrill, and how good can he be?
Yeah, and you and I have talked about it. Matos is that kid. He's like Pablo Sandoval. He's got the great hand-eye coordination, can hit the ball all over the place. But it's, hey, dude, in the major leagues, let's get a strike and hit it. We don't have to just swing just to be swinging. We have to have a plan. And he's starting to figure that out a little bit. And like I said, he's had a real good spring training so far.
Hey, Thrill, just because you were breaking up during the time you were talking about the shortstop position battle, I want to reset this just so we can get something out on it. Once again, talk about the shortstop battle and what's going on with Luciano and what potentially now could be the starter in Nick Ahmed.
So they basically tried to give Luciano a job. He was hurt at the first part of spring training. So they hit the waiver wire and they found Nick Ahmed, signed Nick Ahmed. Ahmed came in here and just tore the cover off the ball. I mean, like the first week, I think he had 3 homers and 2 homers and a bunch of RBIs and all that sort of stuff. And then so here lately, Luciano has, hit a few homers, but he also had, like we talked about, he's also been hurt, and he's been hurt over the course of his minor league career. He has not played a full year in the minor leagues. And so if you're asking me personally what my gut instinct is, I think they want to see if Luciano can play a full season in minor leagues, and they're probably going to start Nick Ahmed at shortstop if I had to guess.
Gall, you've been a Giants fan your whole life. You played professional baseball, so you kind of lose a little bit of that diehard fandom. I mean, obviously our fandom goes back to the days with Thrill and Boogie Bear and that whole crew. But do you still root for the Giants these days? Are you still as into it as it's just? I mean, you live right there.
Yeah, we go to I don't know, a dozen games a year. We jump on the train and go up there, and yeah, I'm a fan. I will tell you this: right when you're done playing, there was a period of a couple of years where I really wasn't a fan of anything. I just needed to friggin' unplug and move on. But back in on the Giants.
Hey, Thrill, something here. This just came out. So Larry Baer just announced that the Giants are going to use the Cal Poly public address announcer versus the A's. Obviously, it was Rennell there for it seemed like 30 years, man, and she's gone. They were unable to come to terms, and she walks at this point. I have to imagine this is somebody that you had a pretty good relationship with and you got to know, and I think we were all a little shell-shocked at the beginning when she took over because we've never heard a woman be a public address announcer before at any stadium that I've been to, and she paved the way for so many women. Now Amelia Schimmel is the A's public address announcer, one of my dear friends. I can't tell you how grateful I am to Rennell, and as a father of 2 daughters, what that means. It's obvious. It's got to be a little sad to see her go, huh, Thrill?
Yeah, it is sad to see her go. I mean, Rennell and I were good buddies. We've done a lot of stuff together in the past, and she's a pioneer. Not only in her job description, but away from the field. She started, a foundation, and her foundation's doing well. And so, every time I see something like this, it goes back to me negotiating to come back to the Giants and basically being told, hey, you need to go try to the free agency market. And you go, wait a second, I'm a Giant. I'm a Giant at heart, and I want to end my career as a Giant, and you're telling me to take a hike. And it's the same thing right here. I mean, I hate to say it, but I love Rennell to death, but it's the business of baseball. It used to not be that way, but it is that way now. And so, Rennell's going to have to, move on. Giants going to move on and then go from there.
Well, they did it not only with you. That's kind of the first one in my fan days that, burnt a little bit. But then it obviously happened with Bruce Bochy and Brian Sabian as well, as they were politely escorted out of town. Man, there's certain, and I read an article even, Thrill, that brought you up, and they said there's certain things that as an organization you just shouldn't fuck up. Letting Will Clark go in 1993 was one of them, and then they brought up this Rennell one. It's like, how much of a differentiator could have it been? I mean, I let's just say it was $20,000 to $50,000. There's no way it was like much more than that, right? I guarantee you could start a GoFundMe for the 20 to 50 grand to keep fucking Rennell. Jeez.
Hey, I don't know the things, That's not my deal, but
yeah,
the decisions made in whether it's the Giants or other organizations, I sit there and I shake my head and I'm like, probably not in the best interest. But that being said, like I said, baseball is a business. Speaking of baseball being a business, today's the 26th, and it just came up on the old wire here. Latest news. I told you Blake Sable was optioned, but then Mason Black, who is trying to get an outside spot, in the starting rotation, left-handed pitcher Juan Sanchez, who was kind of tearing it up. He had a 2 ERA in spring training, and Munguia was coming in damn near 5 whole spring training. Those guys were definitely can't. So that's a little bit surprising, but at the same time, this time of spring training, and John, well too, you're gonna have to make some tough cuts, and the tough cuts you got to make.
So it looks like Logan Webb, Kyle Harrison, Jordan Hicks, obviously Blake Snell. So in the ideal world, you would have Webb, Snell, Robbie Ray, then Harrison, and Hicks is your number 5. Correct?
Well, I'd flip-flop that. I'd go Hicks, then Harrison. You and I talked about this before. So, John, tell me if you believe in this. You take a kid who's a young guy and you put him in the 5 slot, okay? He doesn't have to face somebody else's number 1 or number 2 and have to worry about every freaking pitch being money. You know what I'm saying? He can get away with a mistake or two because you're facing somebody else's number 5. Make sense?
That makes perfect sense. I was actually just thinking about it with the rotation that we have basically 2 number 1s right now, that whoever gets that 2 slot for that exact same reason is going to have a Cy Young year. Like that 2 slot this year is going to be money.
That's Snell.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is going to be Snell. Now, at the same time, the one thing about that 5 slot, and you did see this happen from time to time, and I don't know how this works out with the schedule now, is sometimes that 5 slot ends up going against the 1 slot, because you end up just the way the rotation of the games, especially early in the year with the double off days and some weird stuff. So if you put them in the 4 slot, it might be safer. But, I mean, the whole concept of that 5 slot and who you're going against is probably the least talked about, like, pitching strategy and managing strategy. That makes a huge difference. I totally agree.
Exactly. And then another thing, too, and it's not necessarily talked about as much now as when I played, and not necessarily as much as when you played, but it was who was behind the home plate. Because if it was the guy that would give you, 3 or 4 inches, the guy that would give you 6 inches, it was like, hey, dude, I want the guy that's going to give 3 or 4, not the 6-inch guy, And, so now you talk about the rotation and the matchups within that rotation. I get exactly what you're saying about the number 4 slot, but for the time being, I'd stick him in a 5 and just let him relax, get his feet wet.
All right.
Makes sense.
Big thrill, because we have Gall here. This is somebody who played 10 years in the minor leagues, cups of coffee with St. Louis, cups of coffee with the Miami Marlins as well, formerly the Florida Marlins. He's the all-time Pac-12 hits leader, which, well, you're going to be able to hold on to that record because Pac-12 no longer exists. With 3 College World Series with Stanford in Omaha. I believe you're the Omaha all-time hits leader, right up there.
At some point, maybe. I don't know now.
So I'm going to ask Gall, Thrill, and then I want you to piggyback on this. College, minor leagues, or big leagues? Preferably, I would say college or minor leagues here. Tell me the nastiest pitcher you ever faced.
Huh. Gosh, you got to think about that one.
College, for me, I kind of know who
Go ahead,
was.
Thrill. Yeah, Thrill. In college at Mississippi State, the nastiest pitcher you ever faced.
Nastiest pitcher I ever faced, believe it or not, pitched in the big leagues. You know him well as Marvin Freeman. Used to pitch for the Braves, and then I think he pitched for the Rockies. You know, he'd rear back and chunk the hell out of it, but he was also one of those guys, he'd get down in the count and have to come through the zone, and, you know, you'd whack attack him. But as far as pure stuff, Marvin Freeman was pretty damn good.
Holy shit, man.
Plus, he was an imposing figure. He's like 6'6". He's like 6'6" out on the mound.
6'7", dude.
Yeah. I mean, he was pretty awesome. And then as far as minor leagues go, I didn't face. There was a guy the Dodgers had that had really good stuff, but he never made it to the major leagues. He was a first round draft pick, maybe second round draft pick. Dennis Livingston. He came out of Oklahoma State, and he was a lefty. He had really good stuff, but just never made it.
Okay, Gall, your answer, the nastiest pitcher you faced in college or the minor leagues?
So I was thinking, even though I loved hitting lefties, Ryan Mills at Arizona State he was pumping about 98, 99 from the left side. I was thinking about him and Zito because they were similar. Zito's curveball was the best one I'd ever seen to that point. He was at USC at that time. But Mills, to me, I mean, he just had one of those, whatever his spin rate was, that thing, it was just, you couldn't get on top of it, and it drove me nuts. So I would say him. Minor leagues will be 2 bigger names. Actually, funny, the Beckett in the minor leagues I thought was incredible, and I caught him right before he had that run with the Marlins and the Yankees, right?
Talking about Josh Beckett?
Josh Beckett.
Oh, he had nasty stuff.
He was he was nasty. But then in the big leagues, I'm telling you, Turnbow. Remember the closer for for Milwaukee? Then he went to the Angels. Yeah. I faced him in Milwaukee. And
he was asshole and elbows, everything coming at you.
Sinker at 98, and those guys, like, to me, and you know, Turnbow, he was tough.
So I got a question for you, because the nastiest pitcher that I ever faced in college, and it wasn't even close, was former Dallas Cowboy quarterback Chad Hutchinson.
I was about to say that, but I faced him in practice.
That's what I was going to get at.
Practice, yeah.
So 98 miles per hour. I guarantee you he touched 100. But he would, his two-seam would run so much that he didn't have control over it. And then he threw a fucking 12-6 curveball that dropped off the table like you've never seen, dude. This was the most talented pitcher that I ever came across in my entire career, especially for one who never really made it.
The Cardinals, he was drafted by the Cardinals, and I know the scouts there, they talked about him even after he was gone, about how he was the most talented pitcher they ever felt that they drafted in that period of time. And he did pitch a little bit in the big leagues, but he just couldn't put it together, and then, went and got beat up behind a bad offensive line in Dallas. But he made some good coin. He's a great guy, incredible.
Great guy. Married to Todd Walker's sister.
Yeah, Todd Walker's sister, and he lives in Dallas. He's
Todd Walker. I see Todd Walker every now and then. They got some of the LSU stuff going on down here, and I see Todd from time to time.
Yeah, man. Okay, next question. The most talented player that you saw in the minor leagues that never made it. Now, if they had a cup of coffee, fine, but never really made it. I will start. There was a guy by the name of Jesus Basabe that could hit a ball 500 feet through probably 105 miles per hour from the outfield, could run like the wind, yet I don't think he ever made it out of fucking A-ball. In the offseason, and this is true, he's from Venezuela, he would kill monkeys as an off-season job. So he would climb the trees, wrestle the monkey, get it in a headlock, break its neck. It's you can't make this shit up, man.
No, you can't make it up. I'm just sitting here laughing.
Oh yeah. So Jesus Bosby, I think the funny thing, he just reached out to me like not that long ago, man. I'm serious. It was a family in Modesto that he still kept in contact with. The family reached out to me. They're like, "Look, Bosby's trying to get a hold of you." So gave him my number, and I'd forget if we had a couple of text messages go back and forth. But Jesus Bosby is my guy. Thrill, is there anyone you could think of?
You know what? Minor leagues, none off the top of my head. While I was teammates with Charlie Hayes. He had a pretty nice big league career. Won some World Series. One guy that made it, and he made it for a little while, and now he's actually coaching George Wallace Junior College down in Alabama, was our catcher. His name was Mackey Sasser. Wound up playing with the Mets. I thought Mackey would have a little bit longer career, but he didn't. So that'd probably be my answer, probably Mackey Sasser.
I'll make it quick, but mine was a guy named that popped right in my head, Emil Brown. And Emil Brown was a 5-tool guy. He played in the big leagues here a little bit, too. I had a couple years of time. They kept giving him a chance. But talent-wise, when I was on the field watching him in everything he did, he was a 5-tool guy at the top of the scouting chart, and just whatever, just didn't happen for him.
Yep.
Cole, any final thoughts for the Deuces Wild crowd as we get ready to shut this thing down here?
No, I love this. We're sitting out there playing pickleball, with Eric and all his bougie friends right about an hour and a half ago. And he goes, hey, it's Deuces Wild tonight. You want to come on? I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. I was pumped. And I had no idea. I was just in town for a day or two because our boys are buddies. They've been running around. So, yeah, I got pickleball shoes on, and he's dragged me out there. But this is him today.
Yeah, I told him, I said, because he's, Eric, I mean, he's just fired out. He's into it, and I'm like, dude, it's fucking badminton. That's all you're doing. You're playing badminton.
It is. It's on the same size court as badminton. That's what pickleball is.
There you go. There you go.
Between badminton and tennis and ping pong, really.
But no, dude, I'm glad that you guys hooked up. And John, man, you're doing a hell of a job with, USA baseball. Keep it going, man. Represent the country real well. We got a boatload of talent in these United States, man. Do well. Hope you have good teams.
Thank you very much, Will. I love chatting with you. This is so much fun for me. And yeah, who knows? Maybe in 28 we can find a way to get the major league guys in the Olympics in LA. Yeah,
no, that'd be great, man. I wish you could because I was there in '84. It was a demonstration sport, but then 88, 92, 94, 96, excuse me. It was gold medal sports before they dropped it again. And I'm, talking to guys like Ben McDonald, Todd Walker, guys like that. They had a ball doing it. And so, I enjoyed it when it was a demonstration sport. Man, running out there with USA on your chest and everybody chanting USA, USA. Dude, I mean, goosebumps. So if we can get it back in the Olympics, we'd love it.
Well, this is the 40th year anniversary thrill of that team. So, man, what a awesome cast of characters you guys had there. I still have the Team USA, like a special glossy set of that baseball card, some of my most prized possessions. But yeah, it'd be fun, Gall, to get them back together.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, there's guys talking. I think Bryce Harper mentioned it, and the collective bargaining agreement comes up in 2 years, so we'll know at that time.
You know what? That'd be awesome. I mean, you think about it. I mean, you think about having your Bryce Harpers of the world being on the Olympic team, and representing your country. It's like, oh, hell yeah, let's do that.
Fuck yeah. All right, Thrill. I got to run, man. Let's touch base.
Right, so we good for next week. We good for next week. I don't leave till a little bit later in the week to go to San Francisco. We're good for next week. The following week, I'm going to be in San Francisco, and it's a night game, so I can't do it.
Okay. I love it, dude. Well, we're back on next week. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, please do us a favor. Leave 5 stars if you're feeling generous. Write a review. All of it helps. Tell a friend. We record live every Tuesday, typically 6 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Will the Thrill time, 9 p.m. Eastern time. But today we went a little bit earlier. Thrill, have a fantastic week, man, and happy opening day on fucking Thursday, dude.
You got that right. We'll be able to see what's going on in the first part of the season, and on Tuesday we'll be able to go back and recap some of the games, talk a little shop, and when you bet online, do not bet with Shohei Ohtani's dudes.
That's the truth, man. That is the truth. All right,
stay with our title sponsor, gentlemen and ladies.
Oh, I love it. Absolutely love it. Bet Online, our title sponsor, just not with Ohtani's dudes.
Otherwise known as Back to You, Eric.
Hey, Thrill, one last thing for everybody.
That's right.
See ya!